Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I am going to share with you a update on being a dog mum in Dubai. Some point in the last year, I filmed a whole video on everything you would need to know about relocating your dog. But now I am almost a year and a half in of living life with my little pooch, and I thought it was time to do an update. So I think a really good place to start would be just telling you a little bit about my dog. So I've got a 4-year-old Cavapoo. Her name's Bonnie, and she is just the cutest, smallest, fluffiest thing in the entire universe. We moved her here when she was 2 years old. She comes first in every single decision and everything we do. Yeah, we're obsessed. The first thing I really want to talk through is the location of where you choose to live in Dubai. So I live in downtown. You probably know that from my other videos. I love living in downtown, and downtown is an apartment community. So there really are little to almost no villas. There are duplex apartments, so they come with stairs, and some of them do have little terraces, but on the whole, if you live in downtown, you will be living in an apartment. So for a lot of people, that might not work for them with their dogs. However, one thing that I would say is absolutely amazing about downtown and having a dog in downtown is that because it is built up with literally hundreds of apartment buildings, we do live in a very shaded community. No matter what time we take Bonnie, our dog, out for a walk, we will always be able to find shade. So that is something that I really would say is a consideration when you're moving to Dubai, because there are some areas where it is just sunshine all day, there's no shaded areas, and of course in the summer it does get super duper hot. So of course you'll need to take your dog out so that they can go to the toilet, and if you live in an area where there is literally no shade, then you will struggle. So I just wanted to say that, because that is something that I didn't realize was actually so important, and it's only because I've gotten to know, you know, more friends who have dogs and things, and that, you know, some of my friends live in areas where there is no shade, so they really cannot just easily step out their front door and let their dog go for a walk or go for a wee. So that's just something that I really want to share with you. I didn't even have that on my priority list when considering where I was going to move, but now that I live in Dubai and I've met other people, I've realized how actually important that is. Something that I get asked a lot is about how my dog copes during the summer months. We are in July now, and it is starting to feel very, very hot. The weather app will be your best friend. It is something that I look at a lot when deciding the best time to walk my dog. In your mind, you might think the best time to walk your dog is at 5:30 in the morning, but actually the humidity might be so strong on certain days that you are better off waiting until 8 o'clock, for example. So I just keep an eye out on the weather app. I just flex and change my schedule depending on what the humidity is saying, because honestly speaking, the humidity sometimes is just so much worse than it just being hot. But like I said, obviously I live in downtown, so it is quite easy for me to take my dog out whilst it's hot because there's shaded areas. But in terms of how she actually is during the summer months, I would say that our walks are shorter, they are more frequent. We just keep an eye on her really. Like if we have to pause, we have to pause. If we have to come home, we have to come home. It's just sort of take each day as it comes, but we definitely do try and make the most of the winter months. Currently, we will walk Bonnie anytime between 5:30 in the morning and 8:30. It just depends on, like I said, the humidity and also just what we can physically get into our day. And in the evening, we're typically walking her anytime between sort of 7 o'clock through to 9 o'clock. That is our walking routine. My husband also will usually take our dog down for a quick wee at some point in the middle of the day as well. The summer really does not affect us too much. The only thing it does prevent us from doing is going for longer walks. But yes, your dog will definitely be hot, you'll be hot, and all you can do for your dog is really making sure that they've got fresh water and just knowing when they are at their limit. I do think your dogs definitely do acclimatise to the environment, because Bonnie is just so much better now than she was when she first came out here. Also in Dubai, they do the whole cloud seeding thing, so they force the sky to rain. So sometimes in the middle of summer, you'll be out walking your dog and the sky just opens up, and it is the best thing in the entire world. On the lead up to it, you definitely feel like the atmosphere needs to break, and it feels like the sky is ready to rain. It doesn't happen, you know, every couple of weeks or anything like that. I think last year maybe it happened twice, and this year I don't know if it's even happened yet. We're now at the beginning of July, so I think we are due one. It is starting to feel very hot. If you've got a dog that does need lots of running around, they need to let out their energy, and the idea of walking your dog for a 5-minute walk in the morning and a 5-minute walk in the evening is petrifying, then you do have access to the doggy day centres here, and there are literally hundreds of them. They're dotted all over Dubai, and they come in all different shapes and sizes in terms of their service offering to the size pet that they actually allow as well. Some of the doggy daycares are almost like a little unit that is air-conned, they've got some fake grass, and there's just all these little dogs running around. But the other end of the spectrum is massive warehouses with literally pools and obstacle courses and different pens for different sized dogs and kennels, and like it literally is like Thorpe Park for dogs. I can't explain it. These are super duper popular in Dubai, and particularly of course in the summer months. I personally don't use them, but I did try it. I did try to use it because I thought it'd be really good for Bonnie, but she is just, she could literally have a dog humping her. She's hating her life and she will not bark back at this dog to say, leave me alone. So I sent her to doggy daycare for 2 days, and she spent the entire day running away from humpers, from serial humpers, and I just couldn't go through with it any longer. I just felt terrible for her. She came back absolutely bloody knackered, and I just felt terrible. I just felt really guilty, to be honest with you. So I couldn't go through with it any longer. But to give you an idea of cost, I used to pay 150 dirhams, and that allowed for someone to come and collect her first thing in the morning, drop her off to doggy day centre, and then she'd spend the whole day there, and then she'd get dropped back. So all in all, she would be out of the house from around 7:30 through to anywhere between 6 p.m. and 8 p.m, just depending on what time slot I booked. But that would cost me 150 dirhams, which I think is an absolute bargain. That is roughly equivalent to about £35. And that day centre was one that was all singing, all dancing. It literally had everything for dogs. You had to go through quite a intrusive process to actually get your dog allowed to go into the day centre. I think it cost me around 500 dirhams to get her registered. I think she had to go for a couple of different trial days to make sure that they were willing to accept her. It all felt a bit serious, which I was really happy about, to be fair, because it made me feel really reassured that the dogs that Bonnie will be spending her time with are also, like, on the whole, well-behaved dogs, but also that they'd had all the right vaccinations and things, and they were all healthy dogs. But I know lots of people that send their dogs regularly to doggy daycare, and they absolutely love it, and they wouldn't be without it. So I really want to sort of recommend it, even though it didn't personally work out for myself. But I think it is an absolute saving grace for people that really do need that platform and that place and that space to give their dog exactly what it is that they need. Someone actually asked me about how I transitioned Bonnie's food from the UK to food in Dubai. So in the UK, I fed Bonnie a raw diet, and I've just done the exact same thing since bringing her to Dubai. So I use a company called Fairchild. I think I've mentioned them before. They are a raw food company specifically for dogs and cats, and I order around a month's worth of food at a time. They're just like these little frozen packets, and I put them in the freezer, and I take one out the day before she's due to eat it. And there was honestly no transitional period, to be honest with you. So the physical crate that Bonnie was in when she moved from the UK to Dubai, she had to have a meal attached to it, and of course I couldn't put a raw meal on there. We had to attach like almost like a wet food little meal, and Bonnie ate that almost immediately after she got dropped off to our apartment in Dubai. But that was the only time that she'd ever ate any food like that. Ever since that point, she has only eaten Fairchild. I wanted to mention about people being scared of dogs, because I mentioned it in my first video. The main people that I interact with that are scared of her would be delivery drivers, and that's just because, again, I live in an apartment building. There are regular delivery drivers dropping people off their food that they've just ordered. So I do come into contact with a lot of people that are scared. Adam and I do literally everything we can to make sure that we are showing actively that she's not something to be scared of, and that she's not going to go anywhere near them, and that we've got like full control of her, just to try and put them at ease. To be honest with you, not many people say anything. It's just more like a feeling. It's just being aware that people are scared. But I've not had any situations where I was worried something was going to happen, or I've been worried that someone is so worried about Bonnie. Like, I've not ever had that. Sometimes people will actively say like, I'm scared of your dog, and I'm like, oh, she's really friendly. I'm like, don't worry, I've got full control of her. There are sometimes people who are so petrified of dogs, but they will see your dog and they'll think, oh my gosh, she looks friendly, I'm gonna get over my fear of dogs by going to say hi to it. So yeah, you'll sometimes get scared people who actually want to interact with your dog. I definitely have stopped going to the more popular, busier areas in downtown. Every time I do go into the busier areas, I know I will always get approached. Particularly in the summer, you know, I don't really want Bonnie or myself to get stopped. And whilst I know that I or Bonnie is not obliged to ever stop for a photograph, it is hard when you know your dog's so friendly and someone's trying to get over their fear, you know. I wanted to talk about groomers because I have been through my fair share of groomers over the last year. I do have a couple of tales to share, I'm not gonna lie to you. So I once received Bonnie back from a grooming appointment, and her little black snout, her little nose had been cut. I actually went and physically collected her, and I spoke to them. I said, was she good? Like, how was the appointment? And they just didn't tell me that that had happened. It was only when I took her back upstairs and got her back up to the apartment that I realized she had some blood on her face. And I was like, what has happened here? And then, yeah, I looked, and obviously I seen like a little bit of her like black skin on her nose had been just like shaven off basically, and I didn't know whether it would grow back. I didn't know what that skin was, because it's all a bit, that skin on the nose is a bit strange, isn't it? But I messaged them straight away and I was like, why didn't you tell me that you'd cut her nose? And they come back to me and said that that it was there when I dropped her off. And I was so angry and I was so disappointed, because obviously she didn't go there with blood on her face. I know, you know, I'm assuming what happened was they got her up on the bed, they turned the razor on and they accidentally clipped her. But I am literally the most understanding person in the world. I know the situation of grooming a dog is you've got a scared dog in front of you who's probably fidgeting around, you've got tools, sharp tools in your hand, and there is literally so much chance that something could slightly go wrong. And it just really upset me that they just weren't honest with me. And for that reason, of course, obviously, that was it, we were done with them. And then I moved on and I thought I'd found my forever groomer. For a long time, me and this groomer had something really beautiful going on. I was so excited every time this groomer turned up. And when I say turned up, it's because I was using mobile groomers. So they'd literally come on a van, fully aircon. They had all the equipment in the van and they were able to groom Bonnie right outside my apartment building. Maybe like 6 months into using them, Bonnie came back one time randomly with no eyelashes. I messaged him after the appointment saying, hey, like, why does Bonnie not have any eyelashes anymore? And he responded saying, sorry, I forgot. And I was like, what do you mean? And he said, sorry, I forgot, I wasn't meant to cut them. I was like, but like, do you ever cut dogs' eyelashes? Is that a thing? Surely they need their eyelashes in a sandy city to keep the sand out their eyes, but okay. I was very confused, and I know that eyelashes grow back. I know I sound crazy right now, but Bonnie has the nicest eyelashes I've ever seen in my life. I could not believe they had just been shaven off like they were nothing, like they weren't the best eyelashes he's ever seen as well. And yeah, it upset me a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. So anyway, I think I now have found my groomer, and yeah, she really gets it, and I feel just so much better about the situation. So a question I get asked a lot is what we do when we want to go out for a full day or if we want to go on a vacation. My husband works from home, so day to day we don't have to arrange any type of pet sitting for Bonnie because my husband's here. But if Adam and I want to go out for a day and it's going to be a full day, we do actually have someone that we've met and we trust, and she comes to our house to dog sit for the full day. It's nice because it works for everyone, because we definitely trust her, but also she is always up for earning some extra money. So that's worked out really, really well. In terms of going on vacation, so funnily enough, Adam and I have not actually gone on a vacation since being here. We have both separately left the country and gone off and done separate things, but we've both not left together. We are yet to actually know what we're going to do. Typically, if you have been putting your pet into a daycare centre, then when you go abroad, you would typically put them in their kennels. And that transition is probably a lot easier for everyone else than it would be for myself, because as I said, Bonnie just did not get on very well at these dog day centres. But I do have some friends friends out here who would happily look after Bonnie. Another option that Adam and I had discussed recently was actually asking our parents to come out and basically live in our apartment with Bonnie whilst we go off and go on holiday. But yeah, you'd be surprised at how many people would willingly give up a week of their life to come on holiday, live in your apartment rent-free, and look after your pooch. Bonnie doesn't need someone with her 24/7. You know, people can go off and enjoy their day, but Adam and I typically don't go out any longer than 4 hours before coming back and making sure that she's all happy and safe. Another thing that I'm asked a lot about is restaurants and how easy it is to go out dining with your dog. In the winter, it is so much easier because a lot of cafes will have dog-friendly terraces so that you can happily go out for coffee, breakfast, dinner, drinks, whatever with your dog. When it becomes the summer, it definitely becomes more tricky because you are looking for a small amount of dog-friendly indoor establishments, and there really is not that many. In downtown I can think of just one, but I suspect there probably is more. And also the whole advertisement of dog-friendly establishments is very obscure. If your dog is small and cute, then probably you'll be absolutely fine. But I have seen places that advertise as being dog friendly then decline bigger dogs, which sits so wrongly with me. So that's the only thing I would say, is that if you are going to go somewhere that is a dog friendly cafe or eatery or whatever it is, to be honest, I would just call ahead and make sure that there is no like size restriction on the dog, which sounds ridiculous, but it's just a reality and I just want to share it with you. Also, there are some places that say they're dog friendly and you would have ate there 1,000 times, and then you go back one week and they're like, oh no, no dogs, and you have to say, oh, but I was here last week with my dog, here's pictures of me and my dog sat here last week, and they'll be like, oh yeah, fine, okay. So yeah, it is very strange. That's just a very Dubai example that I've just given you. So let's go to some of the questions, because I realise I haven't answered many. Okay, what's the worst thing about having a dog in Dubai? I would honestly say the worst thing about having a dog in Dubai is the guilt. It gets to the summer and you will be on FaceTime with your friends and family back home, and they'll be telling you how wonderfully green and beautiful the UK is, and you will just feel like, oh no, my dog and myself are literally sweating from every single pore. Was this the right move? If I could have everything I wanted, I would fly Bonnie back to the UK for the summer and then bring her back out for the winter, because the winter here is absolutely gorgeous. But then in moments like that, I do try to remind myself that when I think back to the walks I used to do with her in the UK, they were normally very soggy. I was always having to come back and wash loads of mud off her paws and then give her a blow dry, which she hated. Yeah, we just really try to do our best to make sure that the summers are bearable for her. You have to make the most of the situation you've got. Try to make sure that we have played with her, you know, during the day, to make sure that she's not just literally sat around all day. And someone's asked me, how is she so beautiful? And honestly, I don't know. I wish I could claim that she's my own flesh and blood. I really do. So the question here about complaints about Bonnie. And no, actually, luckily, we've never had any complaints. When we originally moved her to Dubai, we had to get in the practice again of leaving her in the apartment for, you know, 5 minutes to start with, then it would go on to 15 minutes and then an hour. And that was actually very, very tough because she had gotten used to being with someone 24/7. So she lived with Adam's parents before moving out to Dubai, and that was for a period of around 3 months solidly with them. So she really had not spent much time alone in the lead up to moving to Dubai, but we knew that the healthy thing for us to do is to get her used to being by herself. So we did actually have to start leaving her in the apartment, and oh my gosh, we couldn't believe it. She used to absolutely cry the apartment down, and we felt so sad because we'd already gone through all of that during her puppy phase, and then to think that we moved her to Dubai and then we were back to square one almost. We literally just felt so guilty, and there'd be sometimes where she'd just be crying so much that we'd just have to go back and get her. There was times where we'd be literally heading out the door to go out for dinner, and then we were like, no, we can't do it, and we had to cancel. So yeah, that was a bit tough, I'm not gonna lie. We were just very patient with it, and obviously it was trying to build her trust up and making sure that she felt safe. So she's absolutely good as gold now. There's literally no problem with that at all. But weirdly, we never received any complaints, and I really thought one day we would. Every time we used to leave her, I'd come back to our building and I'd think, oh gosh, are they going to say something today. But no, never had any complaints, which is really good. The only one like altercation, I guess you could say, I have had that involved Bonnie was there was one time that she took a wee on the pavement, and I had a guy come over to me and basically say that I had to pick it up. And how do I pick it up? Obviously I had water, you know, wash it down and everything, but he was basically trying to tell me that I would get a fine for Bonnie peeing on the pavement. And I was like, no, the fine is if your dog's gone for a poo and you leave it there, that's when you get the fine. You know, I'm really respectful. I really do try and make sure that Bonnie wees on sand or in areas where it's not going to like fall down a pavement. You know, I don't want her weeing out and about on the streets. I really do take so much care with that. But the way that he approached me and the way that he was speaking to me, I think he just thought that I probably was a very weak girl when he could just have a good go at me. But absolutely not. I really held my own. I was very much willing to have a discussion about it. I'm a very responsible dog mum. Yeah, he was obviously like threatening the law and stuff on me, and I was thinking, this guy does not know me, because I am someone who does my research on everything. So yeah, that was the only unpleasant experience I have had in terms of a complaint. The other questions I have answered, to be fair, about, it's mainly all about the heat in summer. So honestly speaking, guys, if anyone's watching this and is wanting to move their dog from any country to Dubai and is worried about the heat, I will be honest and say it is hot. You will find it hot, your dog is going to find it hot, but you will find a way around it. I am sure of it. Dubai is the most convenient place in the universe. I truly believe that. Everything that you need or everything that you want, someone is probably doing a business to help you with that. That is just how it is here. You can literally think of the most random, bizarre thing that would make your life slightly easier, and it probably is available here. So pet sitters, they're available here. Pet chauffeurs, they're available here. Honestly, I know it is so scary, so daunting, and you will feel guilty. You absolutely will, but you will know in your heart if that is the right thing to do, and I just knew it was. I knew that Bonnie was happiest with Adam and I know that no matter what the circumstances are, we will give her the best life we physically can, and she is happy here. There is no doubt about it. Yes, her walks might be shorter in the summer, but that really is only June, July and August. From like October through to March, your dog will have lovely long walks, and that is actually something that I couldn't say about the UK. You know, I could go on long walks, but would they be lovely? No, they'd be wet, soggy, and quite frankly miserable. I would say, like, me to you, if you're worried about it, I understand it, and your worries are very valid because it is tough, but you will be absolutely fine. Your dog will be fine. Everyone welcomes your dog here with open arms on the whole. There are lots of dog parents out here who are adjusting to this crazy life in Dubai, but is it the best thing I've ever done? Absolutely. Would I love my life half as much without my dog here? No, I wouldn't. I love having my dog here. And honestly speaking, before I moved to Dubai, I had my life very much set up. We both went to jobs that we really enjoyed. We both lived in our beautiful house. We had our dog, and you kind of can put barriers in your own way. You can say, no, I'm never going to move abroad because I've got a house, because I've got a dog, because I've got a job. But we were like, it doesn't actually matter. Those barriers are only a barrier if you put them there, if you know what I mean. Of course, I'm fully respect that there is financial barriers in place, because it is expensive to move your dog out here. Is it expensive to own a dog in Dubai though? No, I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't say I spent any more money on Bonnie here than I do in the UK. I am lucky, she is very healthy. I've not really had to take her to the vets. I've had to take her to the vets twice, I think, and they've both been like ear related, easy problems to sort. I just really wanted to sit down and have this like heart to heart almost to say that you'll be absolutely fine with your dog here. Before we finish the video, I felt like it was imperative to introduce you to my lovely little Cavapoo. This is Bonnie, my 4-year-old sweetheart. Half Cavalier, half Poodle. Mum was the Cavalier, Dad was a toy poodle. Oh, yawnies. But yeah, this is her. I will pick her up so you can see how big she is. So here she is. This is the size of my little Bonnie. Any questions, just drop them in the comments below and I will get back to you. And I hope you found this video helpful and a good insight into life as a dog mum a year and a bit in.